As you know, this weekend is the sold-out KROQ Almost Acoustic Christmas shows on Saturday and Sunday night. Of all the 22 great acts on the bill, only one of them is also playing a sold-out show at the Forum tonight, and she is in the studio with us right now. Halsey joins us on KROQ. Hey, Halsey, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you guys for having me.
Well, especially thank you so much for coming in on game day. I can't believe you're actually working tonight. How long you been on the road with the Weeknd?
I've been out with Abel for like about a week now, a week of shows. Like it's been obviously more with time in between, but I've been on tour since last October. So it's been about a little over a year, like a year and 2 months, and I don't end tour until August 13th. So.
Oh my God.
Until next August. Wow.
Yeah.
That seems like that is a plan to destroy you.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is just like a really, really, really long like murder attempt on me by my managers is what I think is going on right now. But no, I mean, it's funny. When I first started making music, I never thought that I would be a touring act. That didn't seem in the cards for me, given like the type of act that I was and just the stereotypes that surround being like a female artist, being, you think you're not going to be touring a lot. You're going to do like 2 big tours a year. And then, it's going to be mostly radio. It's going to be mostly, I could not have been more wrong about any of that because it was not like, radio game and like one tour. It was quite the opposite. It was a lot of rigorous touring. It was a lot of, building a fan base and, radio didn't just like develop on its own. That was because I was building a fan base and I was, going to cities where kids were then asking if they could hear the song on the radio. So,
well, let me ask you about that because when you were just another YouTube kid, were you doing that because you had this music that you wanted to make, you wanted to perform, you wanted the feedback on the internet, but in your mind you never pictured, hey, one day I'm going to go out and sing these songs in front of people? That wasn't a thing?
That's so funny that you say YouTube kid because that's such a misconception about me that like I think that the media has kind of developed over like because I think there's a desire to pin someone's success from something, whether it came from YouTube or it came from Tumblr, or it came from Vine, or it came from wherever. Social media is obviously is triggering so many careers all over the country right now. And I've only ever had one successful video, and it was a joke. You know what I mean? So it's like my videos were getting 1,000 views at best. I think calling me a YouTuber would be doing a serious discredit to people who are actually YouTubing.
Well, I apologize. I in no way meant for it to be. I in no way meant for it to be dismissive.
She's gonna leave.
Oh no! I just mean it's good actually that I got the opportunity to say that, on air, especially because I think a lot of people do have that misconception that I was like a quote unquote YouTuber, like a by definition YouTuber, which, I really, really wasn't. I was using social media just like any other kid was. Like I had a fair amount of followers on Tumblr, I had a fair amount of, subscribers on YouTube, fair amount of followers on Instagram, but, I was using these social media outlets the same way that any other 17, 18-year-old kid was,
Would it be fair to say you were a SoundClouder? Because wasn't that kind of a big break for you with the Ghost song?
Yeah, SoundCloud is definitely where it broke for me because that's where I put Ghost up.
Right.
And, initially, and, the next day we were in with 5 different record companies. And so that was a really, really bizarre thing. But, back to your question, because I can kind of it still is totally valid. Like the idea of did I want, to be playing in front of these crowds? Did I want to be doing that? I don't think I had any idea. My first show that I ever played, besides a showcase, was on tour with the KROQ.
Okay.
And I think I played the Will Turn.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
That's a
huge place for
your first show.
Yeah, that's crazy big.
So I remember standing there backstage and your whole day's counting down hour by hour, minute by minute, and you get dressed and you're thinking, oh, my makeup's not done because you're stalling. And you're just waiting and waiting and waiting, and then it's 10 minutes before stage and it's 5 minutes before stage and you're backstage and you're thinking to yourself, what if I can't do this? Because I don't know.
That's frightening.
There's all these label people who are like, yeah, you'll be fine. You're resourceful. You got this. Just go out and play the show. It's okay. And and they're like, you can do it. And I'm thinking, there's a huge possibility that I cannot. I've never done this before. I could go out there and I could just suck. My in-ears could not work. I could not hear anything. I could panic over sensory overload because of all the noises. I could freak out. I could forget the words. I could fall off the stage. So many things could happen, and so many things could have happened.
Right.
Like someone's first show, you know what I mean?
But even if you went out and did great, you're still opening for somebody else. Did you get that extra pressure of, hey, all of these people aren't here to see me. They're here to see somebody else, the KROQ in that particular case?
I'm still getting that pressure. I'm opening up for the Weeknd right now. It's like, it's when you go out and you play in an arena, like I just came off my headline tour, the Badlands tour, where I'm playing to kids screaming so loud every night that I walk off stage and I'm deaf for 15 minutes on average every night. My ears ring when I walk off stage. I'm like literally looking into having like unique in-ear monitors made that will filter out the crowd noise because it's going to damage my ears. And no matter what my engineers do to fix it, they can't because these kids are so galvanized. And they're so, excited and engaged. And so, when I walk out to tour, to play with the Weeknd, the biggest thing that I need to remind myself is you better put your ego away. I don't care what screaming, tour you've been on. There could be, thousands of people in that crowd that are also my fan, who know my music and like my music, but they bought a ticket to see the Weeknd. So that means tonight they are his fan. They are not my fan. Right.
Going back to the Will Turn show, do you remember anything about it, or was it a blur?
Oh, I think my first tour was just blackouts.
Yeah.
Just like I'd walk off stage and people would be like, "Oh, I loved it when you did that thing," and I'd be like, "I have no idea what you're doing." Like no idea. Yeah, it was just complete blackout.
Did anyone tell you that you did something that they loved and you went, I have to go back and look because it didn't...
Oh, all the time. Yeah? All the time, yeah. And that's how I started kind of building like those little crowd moments that like people really, really like and look for, because I was forgetting I was doing them.
Well, now that you're, so far into your career, do you now own the moments that you're on stage? Do you kind of take it all in now? Are you able to?
Yeah, I definitely do for sure. And I think that's one thing that people don't really realize about being an artist is that like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they're all devoted to 1 hour of my day.
Right.
Yeah. I wake up in the morning and I eat breakfast maybe. Like I do, some interviews, I do whatever, I eat lunch, and that's when I start getting ready. You know what I mean?
So it's all about focusing on that time that you're on stage.
It's like, what do I eat for dinner? When can I eat dinner? I can't eat too close to stage. Can't eat anything that's going to make me sick. Okay, I need to do this. Can't do anything too, strenuous, or I'm going to be too tired for stage. Need to be careful, like blah, 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 blah. So like that 45 minutes to an hour and a half, whatever, that I'm on stage, my whole day is about that moment. Right. And then like, 9:30, 10 o'clock when that hour's over, I'm like, I'm done. I'm checked out. Like that's the climax of my day. Like that's all I was here to do.
Gotta go to bed right now.
Yeah.
Do you ever have singing voice problems? Do you ever have that kind of sick or? I'm
pretty fortunate that I have a pretty consistent voice because like I said, I've been touring like pretty rigorously, and we do like a lot of days on, a lot of days off, and I talk a lot.
Right.
Which is a problem. Which is obviously a problem.
No, but I'm saying, do you get sick and lose your voice? And
once in a while, I do. And when I do, they just boost you up with steroids. And the crazy thing about that as well is, like, you're not supposed to take steroids, like, at all, let alone, like, a couple times a year.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be getting, like, injections.
I think they're trying to kill you.
Yeah, I really agree. This is a really bizarre murder plan.
Halsey, blink twice if you need help.
All right, we have to take a quick break. You mentioned, right as the song was ending, we were talking off air, you mentioned your friend Justin Bieber. How did that happen?
You guys really got to put me on the spot like that?
No, God. I mean, it's a fascinating story. How to me, I'm so interested in how you two ended up collaborating. I mean, it's definitely interesting in multiple facets. I mean, for one, I'm one of the first female collaborations he's done ever, let alone in a while. He did Nicki Minaj, and there's not many other. I can't even think of any offhand actually that he's done other female collaborations. And then for me to be like a relatively obscure artist and in a much different genre, they reached out and was he just a fan and said, hey, yeah, can you call her and see if she'd work with me? Yeah, that's literally all that happened. And when they call, were you like, okay? Well, here's the thing is I thought that someone was messing with me because like for a while, like and I don't think anymore because I think that he's he's really proven himself, but for a while, if you wanted to make a joke in the music industry, the most bizarre like joke you could make was like, who's on the phone? Oh, it's Justin Bieber. And you're like, haha, very funny. Who's on the phone? You know what I mean? So when someone goes like, who's on the phone? And they say Justin Bieber, and I go, haha, very funny. And they're like, no, seriously, it's Justin Bieber. And I'm like, am I being punked? Like, I don't know what's going on. You pick up and go, seriously, who is this? Yeah, basically at that point. And they're like, yeah, he wants to do a song with you. And I was like, me? Why? Like, I was like, why? Like, I couldn't even, like, begin to understand why. But, I think that it worked out
in a cool way because it's like, a little bit more pop leaning than I'm used to, a little bit more alternative leaning than he's used to. I think it's a really, really good marriage of our styles. Thank you.
That's a good song. Nothing to be embarrassed about. And you performed with him on the Today Show. I saw that. I mean, that was fun, right?
That was interesting. My God, yeah, that was a really weird.
Because of the Beliebers, right? Just because it's so crazy.
We had never performed the song together before. Until ever
that day,
until
on the Today Show
sound check.
Oh, good Lord!
And so, because we were like, I was like, "Hey, do you want to rehearse?" And he was like, "Nah." And I was like, "Okay."
Oh no!
No, I think it was a really positive thing. It sounds really irresponsible, but I think he just really. We both talked about it, and he was like, "I really want it to be organic." Like
that's fine, but were you worried about it? Like, did you want? It's fine. Don't worry.
I was terrified.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. That was like the most organic response I could have given you.
No
just
worries.
that I was shaking in my boots. You know what I mean? Like, live television, there's 5,000 young girls around me, and I need to perform a song with Justin Bieber, and I think my little brother's watching at home. I don't know what's going on.
Did you get hate from the Belieber girls because you were on stage with their boyfriend?
I think I wouldn't have if he didn't try to kiss me, but like, so I mean, and again, it was just like, it was really in the moment, and we were both like, there was just a lot of like tension in the air, and it was like freezing outside. There was so many people watching us. We'd never performed this song before. It's a love song, you know what I mean? Like, I've never done a collaboration before. He hasn't done a female collaboration in a while, and like, there was just so much like energy in the performance that I was just like, that was actually one of those moments where I walked off stage and was like, I love music. Because this was such a real, you know what I mean? It's such a real experience.
I was just going to ask you, is it that terror that you are drawn to sometimes?
I think so. I think that's what it was too, as well, is that, everyone said that there was something inherently sexual about our performance. And, I don't think we went into it being like, cool, we're going to like flirt with each other on TV.
Then it wouldn't have worked.
Like, no, and if we had planned that, it wouldn't have. But I think that there was a sense of terror that was like, and fear can sometimes be really like attractive, you know what I mean? And that definitely like inspired that, I think for sure. But, I definitely want to switch it up now with my next collaboration. I need to go like the opposite end of the spectrum. I have like Justin Bieber, and then my next collaboration is going to be like
Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, or like Courtney Love or something like crazy. You know what I mean? Like something super on the other end.
This is the voice of Halsey here on the Kevin and Bean Show. The album's out now called Badlands. How tough was it for you to learn how to write songs, Halsey?
I don't think I ever really learned. I think actually, honestly, the toughest thing I ever did was learn how to write a song. Like, meaning the worst thing I ever did was learn. Like,
I don't know what that means.
When I first started writing, I was so uninhibited. I was so unrestricted. There was no censorship. I wasn't catering to anything. I didn't know about the formula of songwriting. Like, I unfortunately am a person that, like, I'm super into science, and not like science meaning like biology, genetics, chemistry, like meaning I'm super into like sociology, psychology. I like people. I like the human condition, and that's why I'm a writer. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so what that means more often than that is I look for patterns, and I pick up on patterns very quickly, which ended up being a really negative thing to me as a songwriter, because I started picking up patterns in songwriting, realizing, what patterns were in a hit, what patterns were in, whether it's the key, whether it's the structure, whether it's the bridge structure, and picking up on that was the worst thing that ever happened to me, because it made my music so much less, organic. And so what I had to do, honestly, was just stop writing for a while.
Stop writing music so that you don't start noticing patterns in other people's music.
Picking up bad habits.
Mm-hmm.
So that you can do your own thing.
Yeah, or just like making it routine, sitting down and being like, all right, cool, so this is literally a stencil. You know what I mean? You start to get into a stencil where you're like, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, verse, pre-chorus, chorus.
Well, if you listen to most pop radio, it sounds like everybody's operating out of the same playbook.
Which they are. Mm-hmm. Which they absolutely are. You know what I mean? And it's because, if you but why not? If they can notice something that they know is going to guarantee them a hit, they might as well tap into that. You know what I mean?
But I would think as a young songwriter, that might comfort you a little bit. Not really, though.
So.
It doesn't sound like in your case.
I think she's a different kind of breed, this one, yeah.
No, I don't know if it's necessarily that I'm special or that I'm different or anything like that. I think it's just that I've had people telling me for so long, like in, the conception of this, that the thing that they kind of like the most is that uninhibited nature of my music. Is like the best way I've heard people describe it is saying that they feel like every time they hear me sing a song, they feel like it just happened to me. Mm-hmm. They feel like I'm writing it as if it just happened to me.
That's a real compliment.
Which is a true compliment. And if I start diverging into patterns and formulas and whatever else, then like, am I a good songwriter? Probably, but am I a good artist? No.
Are you fearful in any way that the more popular you get, the more inhibited you might have to become?
Yeah, I do, but I also think that the fear goes both ways in the sense that, like, I think there's definitely a pressure to do things that are a little bit more structured, a little bit more, like, digestible, accessible, moving forward, especially as my fan base starts to grow, as it has exponentially this year. You know what I mean? Like, I put my album out and 2 months later sold out Madison Square Garden. Like, I'm not tooting my own horn over here.
That's
just
insanity,
craziness.
and it happened, yeah.
That's
crazy.
Yeah. So, but I think on the other end of the spectrum, there's also this fear that's like, I need to make this album even weirder. Because people are going to be so quick to say, oh, you sold out, oh, you sold out, oh, you sold out, oh, you sold out. So now, like, I'm like shaking because I'm like, oh boy, so it needs to be super weird and weird enough that I didn't sell out, but digestible enough that everybody still likes it. Okay, cool. So what that means is I'm not going to listen to either of those things.
Okay.
And I'm just going to go write an album, because if I focused on either of those things, I would actually drive myself crazy. And then what's the point of making art? What am I doing?
I'm feeling anxious just hearing you describe what you're doing. I'm not even involved in it, and you're making me nervous.
Is there ever a time after you've written a song where you listen to it later and then go, okay, I don't like that because of any of the reasons you just mentioned?
Actually, yeah. There's been a few. Like, I can think of 3 songs offhand, like, that won't see the light of day because I walked away from the studio, and whether it was like a poor co-write, whether I wasn't feeling confident enough to like push for what I really wanted with the song, or whether like, meaning like the production wise, or like whether I was being polite and taking someone else's idea too far into account, which you can't do if you're a writer. You just need to be mean. You just have to. It's unfortunate, but it's how you protect your art. And, so there's songs I can think of offhand that I'm in the studio and I'm like, yeah, this is good. And then I get home and I listen to it and I'm like, why did I let him convince me to say baby? I would never sing baby. Like, why? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll come with a song where I'm like, hey, baby, and I'm like, I don't say baby. Like, why the hell did I put that in there? Yeah, so there's definitely those moments, but the best songs and the ones that made the record and the ones that I continue to love and continue to listen to are those songs that were organic, those songs that I feel like just kind of like spit up out of me, and I was staring at this piece of paper looking at, this thing going, oh my gosh, I love whatever this is. I don't know what it is, but we're going to make it work, And that's the craziest thing about it. I always say that the weirdest thing about being an artist, and the thing that I think drives most musicians crazy, is that we have a very, very unique ability that a lot of other people don't have, and that's the ability to manifest yourself into something that you can look at. You can look at yourself as if you are a stranger. You can look at yourself from a third party in the sense that I spit myself up into an album, and now I can look at myself.
You keep saying spit up. I don't think that's a good...
That's how it feels like to me, because it really is such an involuntary,
Right.
It almost really does feel like I'm like, it's like an exorcism, you know what I mean? Like, open my mouth and the songs come like flying out of me like a plague of moths. It's ridiculous.
Well, this has been fun, and if we can figure out a way to get you to come out of your shell a little bit, we can actually get some conversation going here. I apologize to the many people who have sent in questions that we're going to run out of time for, but maybe we'll have a revisit in 2016. We can spend some more time with you, Halsey. But we'll see you this weekend too.
Absolutely.
So congratulations on all your success and outstanding album, Badlands. It's available everywhere. Don't just stream it. Go ahead and buy it. Give the woman $1, all right?
Thank you.
Have fun with the weekend tonight, and we will see you on night number 1 this Saturday night at the Forum. Thanks so much for coming in.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much.